I say, whoa, now what's happening with the world? Shemines and them, the Toothless Wonder, reporting on the Bamboozle Get News Network, you understand? I just caught a video on the Real Life Street Star with Dr. Umar, right? And I disagree with him on certain talking points, but he is a very intellectual, knowledgeable brother, to say the least, you know what I'm saying? But he was talking about, he says he's a Pan-African nationalist, right? And it just made me think, you know what I'm saying? And he accurately, articulated the various, plights, the nuances of the black struggle here in Babylon. You know what I'm saying? He got into some African spirituality and so on and so forth. And, how like the superheroes were actually, they remixed it from, like they get everything from us, right? And it just made me think about black nationalism. As I grew up, I read these books about, the Panthers, the struggle, slavery, so on and so forth. And then even seeing this in synchronicity into my own personal life. Here, if you look at, like, let's say, Black Wall Street and the numerous places that it rose up, Tulsa, Rosewood, Charleston, South Carolina, you know what I'm saying? The struggle, the time, the 60s, and, how transitional that was, so on and so forth, right? You ever notice in mass that black people aren't able to kind of carve out their own niche here in Babylon? Y'all ever notice that, yo? There's a reason why, yo. Now, the solutions to me that Dr. Umar are easily implementable, right? But here's the part that and again, I go back to my own personal life, so I see it simultaneously, nationally speaking and personally, right? Here's why black people can't arise in the system, right? And if they do arise in the system, they still have a white, puppet master. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron, them make all that money, but they can't do but so much other than what's allowed for them to do. You know what I'm saying? I just seen I never even knew this guy existed. I think his name is David Wheaton. But this man, he's like in the tech industry, and he's worth $11.4 billion. Black man, he like 71 years old, right? Why don't he build a hospital? Granted, you can't tell nobody what to do with their sweet potatoes, but why he don't do. Here's why: because no matter how now we get short-sighted on money. Money is a vehicle, but white folk don't care nothing really about money. They care about power. So you can have all the money in the world and still have no power if the people in power are allowing you, quote unquote, to make the money. Like all these people we talk, like LeBrons and these sports, they're all corporately owned. It's not like they have a good or a service that they're giving directly to the people. You see what I'm saying? So their money is coming directly from the people. They're able to get these big checks cut because they come from the corporations, which are set up in a more of a plantation construct. When I look back over the word, right, and I'm taking a scenic route here. When I look back over the word, whether the 70 years they were in I think the original Babylon, in Egypt, that was 400 years. And I'm tying this all together biblically, right? At no point, and I keep going back to this, when I read it in Maccabees, and I think in the story of Joseph, when God is punishing you for something, and I know this personally, there's no way for you to get out of it until he let you out. Point blank, period. Somebody name me a time in scripture where they freed themselves. Like in the first Babylon, I think they were sentenced to 70 years, and he was like, then I'll bring you back and all that. Trust and believe, in year 30, I'm pretty sure they wanted to get out of it then and couldn't. When they were in Egypt, you know what I'm saying? I read a story about the tribe of Levi doing something, going to war with somebody to try to, and I forgot all the particulars of it, but the way it was wrote in Maccabee, it said God punished them for trying to escape something, or a discipline or a reprimand, and trying to get out of it under your own power. Whether we see it like in the illusion of inclusion and so on and so forth, so we can make money here, and the illusion of upward mobility, and some people do have it, like the tech man. But he's still ineffective in black nationalism. with all the money that black people spend, make in totality, you can't go nowhere here in Babylon and there's no black hospital. But you have a plethora of black doctors, nurses, administrators, so on and so forth. You understand me? There are no black schools. Like you got HBCUs, but then come to discover the HBCUs were started by, I believe, Democratic white folk. So you might see the front man, Dr., Tyrone Bingham's or whatever, right? But he still has behind the shadows some oppressive, I don't want to use, but some organization that typically isn't his color that is allowing him to operate. Now you can strive individually, and I'm all with that. And even in my personal life, I've delved into so many endeavors I can't even remember them all. So I haven't stopped, striving forward or trying to level up in numerous areas of life, right? But I am thoroughly convinced that I am permitted to do no more than the Most High allow for whatever his sovereign plan is. But here's the kicker though, me personally. Say like all the years I was in Baltimore, couldn't get a job and this, that, and the third, right? So I'm placed in this position, right? So I have an upcoming opportunity come the new year, and it's along the skill set that was honed in the very thing I was praying to get out of, right? Which has to do with empowerment in the community and the individuals I meet, right? I'm not even thinking along those lines or have that skill set unless I was severely chastised because of my bad decision making. And in the waiting, you're in preparation, right? So typically I'm good with finance for years of not having none. For years of being isolated or not being among like-minded people at the very least. I crossed an invisible threshold to where I don't care nothing about it because I ain't had it so long. You see what I'm saying? These various spiritual epiphanies and inklings and instincts that I talk about were home when you're forced to spend time with yourself and get to know yourself and get in tune with yourself and in essence get in tune with the Most High. Even when I was going through it, that wasn't even on my scope of thinking. And I made an earlier video about unless Babylon is destroyed, black people be destroyed. You see what I'm saying? Now, I want to believe that we're awakening, so maybe it's over with to some degree, as far as individuals waking up, coming to know their identity, so on and so forth. But in a national sense, like a grouping of black people, we are still under captivity. That's why it don't, like we see all these rappers and all the, they all at the Diddy party, all them buck broken. That's a modernized version of what used to happen on the plantation. Like that book, The $40 Million Slave. You see what I'm saying? I read a book, I seen an interview of the dude, Craig Hodges. He was on the first Jordan three-peat. And he come from more of a community activism background in South Carolina. He was telling them like, yo, we got all the power. We the product. We should do this and do this and do that. Wasn't nobody feeling it. Because they're spiritually blind. Even if they wanted to, they don't have the heart or the spirit to do it. The spirit of black folks has been eroded. So you can have a brother like Dr. Umar who talks about African spirituality, which I think is more on the side of the occultism and so on and so forth. But there's no power in it. You see what I'm saying? It does, again, black nationalism, black love are talking points and hashtags. But for more oftentimes than not, in relation to us as a grouping, as a whole, of course, you might know certain people. But in totality, it don't exist. Black nationalism don't exist. And let's say without us, the Most High moving in it, even if we were able to govern ourselves, we haven't done it in so long, we don't know how to do that. We can talk about it, but talking about something and doing it, two different things. It may not happen until out of necessity, because ingenuity is bred out of necessity. You see what I'm saying? But by that time, I think it's too late there. Now, I'm not saying don't try and strive and come together and so on and so forth. I'm talking about, like, you'll never see no black ran hospital ever. And if they do, it'll because they allow them to do it And they'll probably use that hospital to zap people up with shots and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you look at, the black people we esteem from TV, music, movies, and all that, they're all compromised. But they got all this money. But got all this money and no power. You see what I'm saying? Denzel just talked about he kissed the man. You know what I'm saying? And now he gets baptized, and now already he's a minister. Where's the preparation? When I look at the scripture, right, the various prophets, Isaiah, Ezekiel, I'm not sure about Ezekiel, I know Isaiah, like they might have been called, and then there's a long period where he's purging them and getting the world out of them and honing them and training them to then do what he's called them to do. He just don't call you, then you do it. I used to wonder that when I was younger. Like the pastor man say, oh, I was called to do this, and now you in the pulpit. But then I read the book. I'm like, ain't nobody, just Paul didn't do it. You sure? You know what I'm saying? I guess because of the law they were under at the time, he couldn't start ministering by the law until he was 30. Officially. You see what I'm saying? But he'd go and, chop it up with whoever in the synagogue and this, that, and the third. If Yeshua had to wait 30 years, why ain't nobody else got to wait? So now I'm coming to this level in spiritual acceptance. I accept that it is what it is. Now, granted, I wasn't there. Sometimes I over-intellectualize that. Like, why I got to suffer that? You know what I'm saying? But even in the suffering, there is a lot to be gained in it. I know, nobody wants to think, but I'm starting to say it along them lines. Had I not suffered, I said this, it seemed like I lost my entire 30s just eking out a minuscule existence, going from rehab to rehab, trying to find my niche, so on and so forth. But it seemed like I lost my entire 30s. I'm in my early 40s now, so that's a fourth of my life lost. You know what I'm saying? Roaming about the wilderness seemingly, right? And then, within a week time, it seemed like he folded time up, and now I'm on par as far as society with the average folk, right? But I'm actually leaps and bounds because of all the stuff, and I didn't know I knew this or had this capability or attribute until he put me around people and I seen how they was operating on a personal level. I said, oh, that's what he was doing. Oh, so love bombing don't work. Because I know I love myself in the sense of making sound decisions. You see what I'm saying? I'm always checking myself to make sure I'm not operating in ego, so you can't gash me up. Because I know the detriment of operating in ego or impulsivity. You understand me? There's a blessing in the if you go in the word, it talk about suffering a whole lot. To some degree, I get leery if I feel like I'm too comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because then I feel like I'm taking, my edge is gone, or I'm dropping my guard. You know what I'm saying? Even, from the time of leaving the job the first time, and it's been, March will be 2 years, right? I've learned, I've actually, because of that situation, it quote unquote forced me to pray more. It forced me to fast more, or start fasting rather. All this was honed in the journey. There's no other way. If you on a video game or something, and when you pass a board, you get maybe a couple extra lives and some coins, or a new vest, a new gun, or you can jump higher and all that. It seemed like, now I don't know, now, we walk by faith and not by sight, right? But as long as I walk this out, not knowing where it is going, along the journey, I'm getting hit, or the game or the simulation is rewarding me with skills I don't even know I need. Now I'm in the space of understanding. Detaching from so much, so my desires, will, what I want to see happen, when I want to see it happen. You know what I'm saying? I do what I do on a daily basis. I still research, look for opportunities, adapt, evolve, so on and so forth. But it get happen. And then here's the thing. You get sustained in the preparation. Like all the years I was in Baltimore trying to get it together, so long as I ain't relapsed, and I was broke darn near the entire time, I always seemingly had food, shelter, and raiment. And I always had just enough money to do whatever I had to do. I got just enough money to get on the bus, to go to the job, to not get it. I failed so much, failure don't bother me, nor does it affect my self-confidence. It's actually hardening me. You know what I'm saying? So I can face it without flinching. in the 2 years or almost 2 years that, I left the job for principal purposes and so on and so forth, or felt led to, right? um, my standard of living hasn't dropped. And then when I need money or something pop up, somehow magically it appears, or I had a financial resource I didn't know about, or an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to go to court. Now this is back when I couldn't get no job. When I hadn't broken the law a significant amount of time. If I didn't know no better, I think I was being gang stalked in Baltimore, yo. I don't know for sure, but it just made no sense why I can't get no job in the most dangerous city, and I ain't been in trouble, and I ain't got no super duper charges. Like, pistol charges, drug dealing charge, like all that super duper stuff. I ain't got none of that. And the people who would tell me to to get a job got worse charges than I got. But I get knocked. So I'm fighting child support at the time, which I thought was odd, 'cause I think at the time I was backed up like $4,500. And I said, man, I get around to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I broke my neck and all that. I get around to him, man. You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, I'm doing what personally to the mother, but as far as the state, man, I'll get around to them. You know what I'm saying? I got this thing about being oppressed, right? Or being legally extorted. You know what I'm saying? So I go to court. This brother's in there 20, 30 grand, and they paying $17. They walk out of court. I'm backed up 4,500 in less than a year, moved me up circuit, and now they threaten to put me in prison. Why y'all trying to break bad on me so bad? You know what I mean? So I was having to come from Baltimore an hour and a half to where I'm at now, where the case at, every 30 days to get a status report. So I would go on Indeed. I got about 50 printouts of the jobs I've applied to, showing I'm doing my due diligence. I'm in this where was that at? Off of shucks. It was the Center for Urban Families, I believe, off of Monroe Street in West Baltimore. Signed up with them, fatherhood class, got all woo. They like, yeah, that's cool, but we want some sweet potatoes. So now I'm starting to hear footsteps in the dark. Like I'm done. I can't make nobody hire me. You understand me? But I'm like, yo, I didn't come all this way, all the stuff I did do and didn't get caught for, never been to prison. But now my 30s, I'm going to prison for child support because I can't get a job. I can't see that, but there ain't nothing I can do about it. I can't make the folk hire me. Yo, check it. So part of where you had to get on like state assistance or whatever. I think at the time they was giving you like cash, like $195 a month, yo. So now I feel like they ready to break on me this time. So I go to the work. I said, look, I got a whole Encyclopedia Britannica full of jobs I'd applied to. Ain't gets no love, job training, so on and so forth. I'm like, man, I don't know what I can do, but I got a printout from social service. I get $1.95 a month. Maybe I can give y'all about 50 cents out of that. You know what I mean? They said, oh, well, they can't take one or monies from one state aid to pay another one. So they squashed the case right then and there. I was never in jeopardy of going to prison. I just ain't know. And was sitting on information to null and void it, but he had to walk me through it. As far as the courthouse go, I don't know how many times it looked like they ready to throw me. And somehow I get time served without having to say nothing, or policeman don't show up. And then all the other stuff, I ain't get caught for it. I should have went to prison for it. You see what I'm saying? But then now, what happens, well, not now, but I started noticing, since I'm held to a higher standard, everybody else around me can be slick. I do a little TT of slickness. Somehow, something totally unrelated to it, bring the whole house down. I'm like, huh? Cuz get away with whatever you want. I do this one little slick thing, okay, yeah, you know what I mean? It wasn't too major, not in my mind, no way. But then something way over here blow up. That's why now you ain't got to worry about me stepping. I mean, I'm always doing my, again, due diligence to check myself. But you ain't got to worry about me doing nothing crazy or nothing slick, because I'm scared he's going to get me. And he probably is. So fear of the Lord is the beginning of all knowledge and wisdom. If I can't do sound business, I ain't finna do nothing. If I even think, even relationally speaking, I'm taking advantage of you or I'm manipulating, if I can't help you, I ain't gonna hurt you. Because I don't even want no parts of it. My conscience is so sensitive. You know what I'm saying? If I'm I might not know if I'm doing it right, but I darn sure know if I'm doing it wrong. You know what I'm saying? Again, back to the black nationalism part. It's not spiritually meant for us to be able to build here in Babylon. Because let's say we build these black communities and black power, and they not, messing with the family, and, the women stop whoring and brothers stop whoremongering and so on and so forth. We're not going to pray the Most High to get out of it. And we can't get out of it because that's what he sentenced us to for whatever we for whatever we did way back when. Showing, even though we're the most powerful people on earth and they sought to psychologically make us weak, you're still not powerful enough to get out of something that I done said and said. You see what I'm saying? Maybe individuals or pockets of friends, but as a group of people, no. Left up to me, I'd have been up the country. And I thought it was mysterious because I had some financial resources, so on and so forth. So I'm like, well, I'm going to keep the ball rolling in stewardship, and I'm going to start. Ain't none of my plans work. None of it. Or what seems to happen is, even if it does look like it worked, my spirit ain't in it. So I can't physically move to it because my spirit blocking it. I remember one time I had a job cleaning up the chicken plant. You know what I'm saying? Decent. You know what I mean? I ain't got actually food with the chickens on the line and all that. Walked all the way up to the door. Now, mind you, if I don't go in, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Put my hand on the handle and could not pull the door open, cuz. I back up. Come on, Cav. Just go in the junk, bro. You know what I'm saying? We need a job. Let's be responsible. I'm like, yeah. Go try it. I was like a drunk man. Grab the handle again. The door won't. It's not even the door won't open. I ain't got no strength to pull the door open. But I got strength to walk all the way back to my car and go to Planet Fitness and work out. I done did that I don't know how many times. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm under this belief, right? Now, everybody else, just because somebody else do it don't mean you can or should. You know what I'm saying? But even if it seems good, or whatever the case may be, if it's somehow leading me away from wherever he's directing me, even though it seems good, now he's going to trigger my spirit and I'm not going to be able to move on it. I'll share this with y'all, right? Of course, I understand I'm in the land of harlotry, right? So as a man, you got certain desires, needs, so on and so forth, right? I be wanting to get jiggy. My spirit won't allow me to do it. You know what I'm saying? Shawty give me some rhythm. She halfway chub. I might be engaging just to be social. But my spirit is told like. And then I can't bring my, like they might hit me up at, splacking eyes or something like that. I'm like, yeah, in my mind, yeah, go get that. My spirit like, it ain't even worth it, cuz. Can't move. I don't know how to explain this one. It defies all logic. You know what I'm saying? You know how he says, I will sustain you with the righteousness of my right hand while I'm taking you through these various experiences. So then when it is time, at the appointed time for you to do what I want you to do, 1, you got a heart for. 2, you'll rely on me. 3, you won't get egotistical. 4, you won't sell out. You know what I'm saying? That's where I think the long suffering part come in at. Like, let's say my grandparents, they suffered. They weren't that far removed from sharecropping. But I never really heard them complaining. They just accepted it for what it was. But they kept their family together, you know what I'm saying? But then they run the agenda of, disrupting the family through finance and divorce and all that there. You know what I'm saying? That's just part of, even okay, black love. And how they say the brothers is going to the snow bunnies and whatever the case may be. That is actually, how would I word it? A byproduct of being in Babylon. Like when they was in Egypt, and it was like they seen their numbers increasing, and then they, decree, the sons, the firstborn get whatever, and, increase their tasks and all that. All I see is life cycle just repeating itself. Because, of course, we can't rise up to any degree, even if we wanted to, if the black family is all disrupted, or if generational wealth is misappropriated through divorce and so on and so forth. We're not meant to build here. Because if we build here, in mass in general, there'll be no desire to get out of here. You see what I'm saying? We would actually enjoy our captivity. And some people enjoy the captivity for lack of responsibility. You know what I'm saying? But there's no reason to do that. Even in my own personal life, had it not become so hard, it wouldn't have made me seek something greater than myself. Or seeing now how illusionary all this crap is. You see what I'm saying? Even like the generational wealth talking point, which had probably some component of relating to finance. But if you don't own the money, how much generational wealth can you build with somebody else's finance that they can print up at will, devalue? You know what I'm saying? It has to be as it was in the days of old. Land, commodities, your ability to produce crops, your knowledge, your wisdom, the ability to heal yourself, share that information with others. That's generational wealth. Money is richness. Wealth is the accumulation of commodities. You know what I'm saying? Like they say Job was rich. Or gold, you know what I'm saying? But he was rich. They talked about how many, men and women servants he had to work, all the amount of livestock he had, the amount of land he had. You see what I'm saying? That's what made him wealthy. Not paper money. You see what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure he had gold and whatnot. You know what I mean? They completely inverted. Well, I guess the Most High is allowed, say, to completely invert everything to hold us in captivity. I can't even get out of it. Got the financial resources. Now, I don't believe in going way, across the Atlantic Ocean and going work for somebody. I can technically do it now. But the inroads I've made to connect with others who are already over where I want to go at and business things and online stuff and all that has mysteriously fallen apart, or they don't, or I contact them again. They say they never got the first one. And so now I just come to understand it ain't for me right yet. Because let's say I'm able to facilitate these things through my own power, thinking, intellect. I don't have a moment by moment necessity to yield and cleave to the Most High. And then let's say I get to a position where I am able to make moves and whoop, 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 whoop. I'll always remember what I learned and who ultimately gave me the breakthrough. Just like when I got a financial breakthrough a couple years ago, because of the long, arduous, extended journey. It's not like, I started flexing or whatever. I started doing for the people who had held me down all the years I didn't. And felt great about it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't so much, I live, I fulfill this desire or whatever the case may be. First thing I started thinking about was, let me bless those who bless me. Like, family member, you know what I'm saying? I had a homeboy, he always used to look out for me. I paid, you know what I'm saying? Black nationalism don't work. And even if we look at, the Huey P. Newtons, the Marcus Garvey, how far did now, I'm not sure their reverence towards or their quote unquote religious beliefs, right? But how many of them succeeded? Zero. You mean tell me not one? Or what happened if it do, like Black Lives Matter, which from what I understand was grassroots initially, but then it got co-opted. I seen some, I don't know how true it is, but they said in the earlier, before like the, what was the one brother who got the knee on his neck and that kind of propelled him? They said prior to that, in like a 2-year period, like 12 of the male leadership of the original Black Lives Matter, I think in St. Louis, if I ain't mistaken, mysteriously were unalive. So they were left with the alternative women leadership who are more easily co-opted. Negroes get co-opted too every day, B. So now you got a national that galvanized everybody, but it was puppeteered by George Soros and them. And they installed, to have, the flip-floppity sisters or whatever the case may be. They grabbed all that money, got y'all donate all this money, didn't help nobody. You see what I'm saying? And then moved with white folk. And when I told people this is another bamboozlement, they came and attacked me. I posted a picture, a screenshot of their website where they said, how they word it? We don't, or we're more pressing towards alternative forms of family. So the catalyst for the marketing of Black Lives Matter was the unaliving of a black man. But then on the website say they pushing, for a household without the black man. Bamboozled again. Now, again, as I routinely talk about, they didn't get mad at them for bamboozling. They got mad at me for pointing out you got bamboozled. Spiritually speaking, that's why we can't do. We just can't, yo. We wouldn't know what to do without Zaddy, yo. Even though I've moved more toward, and I've always been in this space of holistic, health remedies and so on and so forth. We can know all that. You can buy some beetroot juice, you know what I'm saying, and lower your blood pressure and all that. But you'll still, and even in the wealth of Stockholm Syndrome, with the wealth of information, and I can prove it to you, you'll still go to the pharmaceutical company and get a blood pressure pill that don't really help your blood pressure. It might stabilize it, but this is what it is. Spiritual acceptance. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to accept the fact that I'm going to see Negroes go by the wayside. Negroes go by the wayside every day, B. I'm going to have to accept the fact that we're probably going to see even more harlotry out of our counterparts and more just insane talking points, in relation to dating and men and all this, that, and the third. I'm just going to have to accept it. Jeremiah had to accept that he had to witness his people being carried into captivity. Now, he himself was kind of sustained or whatever position he had, but this is the Most High doing. So who am I to argue with him? Who am I to intellectualize with the source of all wisdom and knowledge? You know what I'm saying? I just grown into that space. But I wouldn't, again, had I not, not went through certain disappointments or things, I wouldn't come to this spiritual understanding. So now that helps me be even more stoic. As we see everybody flipping out, losing their mind. Oh, man, what, New Year's Eve tomorrow? Oh, boy, they're going to be bonkers. I already know. They're going to be bonkers. Boy, you're going to hear about a whole bunch of mass shootings and travesties and at the Shing Ding party with colors and all that there. You know what I'm saying? You're going to hear about a whole bunch of harlotry. I just said it. Shrug my shoulder. What else you knew? You can't fault Babylon for Babylon. So I just, Terry, continue to personally work on myself in all areas, financially, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, right? Family, you know what I'm saying? And wait for the gathering. And pray I'm found worthy to be a part of it. That takes a certain amount of strength to be set apart in a place that's attempting to label you. You know what I'm saying? Like when they try to have these gang stalking talking points and whatnot of them attacking you because you different or you ain't get the jab Babylon or this, that, and the third. That's part of the test. Gold that you buy or whatever the case may be, they got to purify that first. They just don't dig it out the ground and sell it to you. You got to go through the fire. Ain't no way around. Ain't no scenic route. You got to go through it. But the fire is actually burning the stuff off you that would lower your value. If it wasn't for my long, arduous, extended journey, I might be open to, bonquishas and maybe being slick in the financial aspect. You ain't got to worry about none of that there. You know what I'm saying? I might have some thoughts, but I ain't going to do none of it. You know what I'm saying? I might talk a little yang, but I ain't finna, just like average Negro. I talk a whole lot of don't do none of it. Because I know better. And because of the hard-won battles that I've been allowed to get the victory in, it's not worth me putting that in jeopardy. Not the kid. See, if it came easy, you don't care nothing about it. Or if it was handed to you, you think somebody else will do it. But when you got to fight, dig, pray, cry out, almost seem like you ready to lose your mind, and then you get a victory, you ain't got to worry about me just taking this willy-nilly. You know what I'm saying? But black, let's put this to bed. And I ain't nobody, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say I ain't nobody, but in the grand scheme of things, as far as maybe the YouTube algorithm, ain't nobody gonna pay me no mind. But I just solved or answered the reason as to why black nationalism is just a talking point. And it'll never happen here in Babylon. And if it do, it'll be some watered down version or be heralded by, alternative black men or black women working against the interests of blacks as a whole. But you ain't gonna have no brothers just building and putting their money together and all that. You know why? Because they'll shoot them. They shot all my heroes. I knew that when I was little. They shot all my heroes. You know what I'm saying? We're not meant to get... It almost seems like... And I don't want to say this, but it almost seems like the Malcolm X brothers, the Martin, which I knew he was kind of Masonic, the Marcus Garvey brothers, or whatever the case may be. Now, we can struggle and strive here in Babylon, but overcoming Babylon, no. It had to come from Satan, and God has to be allowing Satan to do this, because you got to figure, they done sold the game up. From the school system, the higher education, health-wise, they convinced Negroes to turn on each other. I'm trying to think, Einstein and Tesla and them couldn't have figured out a social dynamic to keep people, us where we at with it. You know what I'm saying? That had to come from Beelzebub. You know what I mean? We're the only group of people who don't know where they come from. Like even when Dr. Umar was talking about African stuff and this, that, and the third. But Africa's a continent. I've got to believe there are over 50 countries in which country? There's that issue right there. We're not African. From my understanding, the people in Liberia, where they had a transatlantic slave port, know who we really are. The descendants of the original Hebrews. Hitler had a quote saying he was going after Zionist Jewism. Yeah, is that a word? The Zionist Jew, because I guess they were, Satan's house was divided. But he was trying to stop the Zionist Jew that occupies Israel now, because they're going to bring forth, the false Messiah that they're going to bamboozle the world with. He was trying to stop them. But he said, Hitler said this, that America has the apple of God's eye in captivity, referring to us in these ghettos. And, every time we try to come to, like, say, the 60s, what they do? They deindustrialize the inner cities. They put drugs in the hood. So you ain't got no job, but you got to make money for your family, right? Then simultaneously come in with the social welfare system and tell sisters, well, if you want us to take care of you, you can't have no man. Then here come the sexual liberation of the 70s, and you know what I mean? Men are evil and controlling and da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? Now here we are. It's the game or the social is so interlocking, we can't get out of it. Not without the Most High. In his time, in his sovereign will. And on that note, I'ma holler at y'all. Ooh,